Meanwhile, Defense Secretary Mark Esper is weighing in on the firing of Navy Secretary Richard Spencer following a controversial war crimes case. Speaking to reporters yesterday, Secretary Esper explained he was, quote, flabbergasted to learn that Spencer had tried to make a secret deal with the White House concerning embattled Navy SEAL Eddie Gallagher. Secretary Esper said he demanded Spencer's resignation after learning he had secretly approached the White House about an arrangement to let Gallagher retire as a Navy SEAL if the president stayed out of the case. Esper also said Monday President Trump gave him a direct order to drop disciplinary action against Gallagher. In his first TV interview since being fired, Spencer told CBS he spoke with White House counsel Pat Cipollone about the proposed arrangement on November 15th. He says Cipollone called back the same day to decline the offer, saying the president would be involved. Spencer acknowledged not telling Esper about that proposal.
I will take the bad on me for not letting him know I did that. But he was completely informed as to this because his chief of staff was briefed on it.
A spokesperson for the Pentagon disputed Spencer's statement, telling the Washington Post no one on Esper's staff was aware of Spencer's proposed deal. In that same interview, Spencer also argued he was trying to head off an order from the president, which he said he could not in good conscience obey.
What do I stand for as Secretary of the Navy? Good order and discipline of the United States Navy. That's a prime tenet. This, in fact, erodes that.
But what's wrong with following a lawful order from the commander-in-chief?
Nothing. Everyone should follow a lawful order. That's good order and discipline. I could not, in my conscience, do this.
Speaking to reporters yesterday, President Trump defended his involvement in the war crimes case.
I have to protect my war fighters. I've been gotten a lot of war fighters and people in the military have thanked us very much. With Eddie Gallagher, you know that story very well. They wanted to take his pin away, and I said, no, you're not going to take it away. He was a great fighter. He was one of the ultimate fighters. Tough guy. These are not weak people. These are tough people. And we're going to protect our war fighters.
I don't think he really understands the full definition of a war fighter. A war fighter is a profession of arms. And a profession of arms has standards that they have to be held to, and they hold themselves to.
Richard, I'll read some of the reactions. Senator Jack Reed, the top Democrat on armed services, a military veteran himself, said this is an outrageous, irresponsible interference by President Trump in the military justice system. He went on and explained why he believes that. Just your reaction to how this has all played out.
There's no winners here. Spencer's position was ridiculous. He was going to basically argue for a sham or almost show trial kind of thing with the outcome guaranteed. So that wasn't an answer, and I understand why he got canned. But the president's position is unsupportable. And the sad thing, Willie, is it's not a one-off. The military is not the only institution he's going after. He's going after the Foreign Service. We saw that the last few weeks. He's going after the intelligence community. He's going after the Federal Reserve. He's going after, the National Security Council. What he's basically doing is institution after institution, he is going against the norms, the culture, the idea of professionalism, the idea of independence. So we thought the military was somehow off limits. It's sad, not just because the military is critically important. The military is arguably the most successful institution in American society. I can't think, when we look at where the military was, say, at Vietnam, and where it is half a century later, it is a model for talent development, for diversity, for professionalism, for excellence. We have been extraordinarily well served in this country by our military, and this is a corrosive act. This is a way of removing the military's ability to self-regulate, to self-police. So this is a dangerous, dangerous precedent.
Yamiche, Richard just spoke to norms broken, standards lowered. This is throughout many agencies in this administration. And Jack Reed, Senator Reed's comment that Willie just referred to, I'd like you to speak to the level of concern that you hear among our elected officials who realize that norms broken, standards lowered is nearly universal now across government.
Well, there are two parts. If you talk to Democrats, they really are worried that what President Trump presents is really a question about how our democracy functions in general, whether or not the institutions that people have held up. I'm talking about the DOJ, the Department of Justice, the Department of State, whether or not those institutions will continue to function in a way that serves national security and the nation's best interest, or whether or not a president can come in and put in an attorney general that's maybe personally loyal to him, as Democrats have argued Attorney General Barr is to President Trump, whether or not a president with the agenda that President Trump has, whether or not he can test those norms, break those norms, and get away with it. Republicans, though, when I talk to them off the record, they also are people who have been a lot of people who've backed the idea of rule of law, who have shied away from the idea of abusing power, but who find themselves having to back up and having to defend someone that they think is really bending the rules, if at best, and if at worst, is really putting them in a situation where they're having to defend what they think is really unethical behavior, if not impeachable. So I think the Republicans I've talked to, they don't move away from the president saying that they're going to be voting to impeach him or anything like that. I think he will continue to have solid Republican support. But there are Republicans who are definitely worried that this president, in breaking these norms and in changing the way that America functions overall, might mean something bad for the future of this country.
So, Eddie, Secretary Spencer was asked in that CBS interview last night what message this sends. And he says, well, the message it sends is that you can get away with anything, and President Trump will swoop in and clear your name. He said it's a bad message to send. We also got reporting last night from the Daily Beast that President Trump would like Eddie Gallagher to campaign for him in 2020, campaign with him in 2020, be on the stage at the convention in 2020. President Trump effectively now using the man he cleared as something like a political prop.
Right. So it qualifies what Secretary Spencer was saying, right? That it's not that anyone can get away with anything, but if you support Donald Trump, you may be able to get away with something, right? And so what we see is that the president actually believes that he can do anything he wants, no matter what institutional norms say or what they might be. He believes that his power is unlimited and unchecked. And so for those of us who aren't in the military, I was talking to Mike about this earlier, just imagine this as the president swooping in just a particular judicial case and just overturning what the judge says. Right? This is what happens. So it disrupts the way in which military justice functions. And here, in the context of someone who was convicted of a war crime, someone who in some ways undermined the values of the Navy SEALs. And Donald Trump said it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
You know, to your point and to what Richard said about the American military, especially over the course of the last 20, 30 years, the retraining of the American military, the American military's image in the eyes of Americans and around the world. On October 12th, Donald Trump tweeted this: "We train our boys to be killing machines, then prosecute them when they kill." That is an exhibit of a fundamental, total misunderstanding of what we do as a country to train our military. We do not train them to be killing machines. We train them principally to be national security apparatus, but to be weapons representing the United States of America when they are overseas. Good order, discipline, as Spencer said. A fundamental misunderstanding of the role of the military.
No, absolutely. And this is a perfect example of how we reduce our standing in the world. And in some ways also we reduce, I think, potentially the safety of American troops around the world. They're in all sorts of settings. In some cases, they're peacekeepers. In some cases, they're simply providing stability. In some cases, they are warfighters. But even when they're warfighters, they act with real discipline, in unit cohesion, under laws, under rules, under standards, under chain of command. And again, that's what's so corrosive of what the president did, because he undermines that. He undermines the discipline. He undermines the chain of command. The relationship between, it's a hierarchical organization, and it's exactly what he's working against. So for the short-term benefit he gets politically, I actually think it has, again, the word that keeps coming to mind is corrosive. Institutions depend upon rules and norms and values, and this works against it.
All right, still ahead on Morning Joe. We are exactly 11 weeks away this morning from the New Hampshire Democratic primary. New polling there shows a tight four-way race. We will dig into the new numbers.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.